their own personal choices and empower them to take action at many different levels. I think when we talk about corruption, it's about using something to your own benefit. We are all corrupted somehow and at some level, so we all share responsibilities. You either show up for these things or you don't show up, and both of them had an implication. So I would encourage everybody, as Timothy said, to show up and to hold our politicians accountable for their decisions.
So we just heard from Timothy A. Barber, Executive Director of the Black Archives in Overtown, and Mariana Boldu, Director of Resilience and Design at Curtis & Rogers Design Studio. We spoke to them a couple of weeks ago. They were a part of a panel discussion at the Museum of Art and Design in Miami about the connections between climate change, gentrification, and corruption. The next panel conversation at the museum is tomorrow. But the issue of sea level rise, because it is going to impact all of us, how are we adapting to this future?
We have to green our city big time, so we have to get rid of paving. That means more trees, more pervious areas, more sponge. We sit on a sponge, but on top of it, we put a cap of concrete throughout. So that's what we need to kind of revert back. We need to start getting rid of the concrete and putting the green back, because the green has so many benefits, from absorption to, sinking carbon, to improving water quality, air quality, health, all of that.
Timothy, I think about the future is that there's going to have to be a constant redesign of the infrastructure. That's going to reshape neighborhoods. It's going to force you to.
Yeah, I kind of just walk backwards just a moment and agree totally what the doctor has said in terms of what we have to rethink. The issue is that whether or not we're learning from our mistakes of the past, and are we repeating these things? And because if you look at it, for example, a lot of us ride the expressway, and you have to ask yourself every time, how many times are we going to redesign this roadway? How many times, we'll go to 6 lanes, we'll come back to 5, and you're like, who was the person sitting around trying to design it? Can we get one good design? So there's never a really true answer to it, but if we begin to play back to what our ancestors has done, and planting indigenous plants that were here, because there was a lot of removal going on, and really back then they didn't understand the role of certain plants. When you talk about the mangroves and the coral reefs, so they begin to remove these things in the name of development. And we're now seeing the effects of that, and that's what 30, 40, 50 years later, we're now understanding these effects, and people are now trying to fix those things. So I think that depending on scientists and professionals, people that are really studying this climate issue and studying how to make the space green, we depend on the people, the experts, to basically get it right, and then listen to those people that have the knowledge.
Do you have confidence in those experts?
Certain people, She reminded me of somebody that I have confidence in, Mr. Gerald Martian, who I sat on the board with. It has been interesting sitting on the City of Miami Historical Environmental Protection Board, because you have many people that think we're crazy for trying to save a tree. We have developers come in and, why do I have to save this tree? Can I just mitigate, And it's like, no, we don't want you to mitigate, because that really doesn't help us, because it's going to take a lifetime for that tree to grow to its full health.
Timothy, what do you hope people are going to take, or do you want them to take from this conversation?
I just want people to become sensitive to these issues and how they all connect in a sense when you talk about climate change, gentrification, as well as corruption, because one does feed the other. And that's why we're here. We're here because of the corruption that affect climate change, that push people out and begin to gentrify people. So I hope that people will begin to be wise about this, and then take notice and show up to this first Monday meeting of the month that will help them understand a little bit better, and then carry that knowledge back to people that don't understand.
And